Okay, and him with Beis, and the subject was about Chaim David. If it's possible to get that on, that's the recap. Meanwhile, that the Gemara spoke about the chatas. What is that? The chatas that was stolen. So it comes out that it was not known, low noda, so then it's kosher korban, and if it was noda, so then it's not. And the Gemara, there are two ways to look at it: either yesh kedi low kani, that really the ganav was not kona, and really shouldn't be a good korban, even if he does not, it's not known about. But then the kohanim are not going to want to bring it, and there's going to be the mizbech is going to be bottled. So they made it the kana that it should be kosher. If it's not low noda. They know about it, no reason to make it a kana. Another way was yesh kedi is kana, and really it should be a good korban even if it was known. But they made it a kana. Not that the people shouldn't say that the mizbeach eats geneva, eats gezela. So the one wants to go into the subject about the yesh kedi. Is that what's the halacha? Yesh alone, is it kona or not? Is the gan of kona if the owner was mia eish? Masiv rava. Gan of hikdish v'achkach tovach u'mocha mishalem tashlum mekefel v'en mishal tashlum yabava chamisha. So we know that a ganav, when he steals, he has to pay double. And if he was tabach u'mocha, if he shechted the animal or he sold it, so then he has to pay 4 times, 5 times, depends if it's a sheep or a cow or a gus. So here it says that he stole, somebody stole, and then he consecrated it. He was makdash it to be a korban, and then he slaughtered it. So it says he doesn't pay tashlum b'chamisha because it's not his anymore. It means after the geneva was not yet hektish, so he has to pay double. He pays kefil, but once he was makdash it, so then there's no payment of 4 and 5 because it's not his already. What do you see? That the hektish takes effect. The more it's kasha and short is going to be, you see that the hektish takes effect. That means that he was konet. If he wasn't konet, he wouldn't be able to be makdash it. The Gemara wants to go to the machlokas of yesh kedi kona now. You see that yesh kedi is konet because you see that hektish is a good hektish. The Gemara could have stopped here and said, you see that it's a good hektish because it says that he doesn't pay dalad ve'hei. That means because it was a good hektish. The Gemara goes further. The Tana Yallah, the chutz v'agav nonish koris. It says also if he would have not shechted it in the Beis HaMikdash, if he would have shechted it outside the Beis HaMikdash, so he's chayiv koris because of shchutei chutz. Again, you see even stronger that it was a good hektish. If a ganav stole something and it's not his and he's makdash it, so it's not a hektish. He didn't make it hektish. Here it says that it is hektish. It's chayiv koris. If he would have stole an animal, it was makdash it, and then he slaughtered it outside the Beis HaMikdash, it's considered shchutei chutz. It's like he slaughtered a korban outside the Beis HaMikdash. Why is it called a korban? Because he was makdash it, but he was a ganav. How was he kona? So the more proves from this that yesh kedi kona, v'yamet yesh kedi lo koni, caused by avidite. If he's not kona, so then it's not chayiv koris because it's not hektish b'chlal. He stole an animal, and even though there was kedi alone. So if you see that yesh alone is not kona, so then why is it chayiv koris? It's not hektish. One is chayiv koris for slaughtering a korban outside the Beis HaMikdash, but it's not a korban because the Gana made it hektish. Yesh kedi lo kani. Rashi talks about why is it necessary for the Gemara to bring this extra, that as far as koris, wanted to bring a proof in the fact that he's potter from Dalit Behei that also shows that it's already a good hektish. Why is it not chayiv Dalit Behei? Because of the hektish. So you see, hektish is a good hektish. So Rashi explains why that wouldn't have been enough of a right. The Gemara wants to go even to say that it's chayiv koris or shchutei chutz. You see that it's a good hektish. So that's the Gemara's raya that Yechov Yesh Kedi is kona. Rav Shizvi koris b'divrayim. So if Shizvi said it doesn't mean real koris, it means a koris b'drabanan because with the raisa it's not hektish because the ganav is not kona. You want to say Yesh Kedi lo koni, that the ganav is not kona, so hektish is not a good hektish. And therefore, he's not chayiv koris for shchutei chutz, but it's chayiv koris b'drabanan. But achichole, they left. The Beis Medrash laughed at him. No such thing as koris b'drabanan. Koris b'divrei miika. Someone's chayiv koris b'drabanan. There's no such thing. Amalu Rava told the people of the Beis Medrash, Gav Rabba Amar Milsa Lo Tzechluchu Alei. Somebody, Talmud Chacham, a big man said something. Don't let. He has a pshat what he meant to say. What does it mean koris b'drabanan? Koris shal yidei divrei and basalo. It came. It's a real koris. So you're right. No such thing as koris b'drabanan. He didn't mean that. He meant that the Rabbanan could orchestrate a koris. How could the Rabbanan make a koris? We should say that Rabbanan said it belongs to him. That means that Rabbanan do have a koch of hefker bes and hefker, and they could confiscate the property from wherever they want and give it to somebody else. So here that a person, the ganav, stole from the Bible, and he was makdash it. This whole story is said by us that we want to make that it should be a good korban. If he brings it as a korban, it should be a good korban. So they said that it belongs to him. And once it belongs to him, it says really chayv kares. It's true, but the Raisa yesh kadilo kani, so it still belongs to the original owner. It doesn't belong to the ganav, and the hektish is not a hektish. And if someone's going to shecht it outside, it's not going to be chayv for shchuteichos. But Rabbanan, because it is takana that they want that it should be a good korban, that the kohanim shouldn't be scared to eat it, so they made that it should belong to him. And now he's going to be chayv kares if he shechts it outside. Say he's chayv kares because of shchuteichos. It seems that the Gemara didn't know yet hefker bes and hefker until here. And the beginning, when the Gemara said that they made that it should be a good korban, that lo noda, so it is a good korban. So Rashi learns that till now the Gemara didn't know hefker bes and hefker. Only now the Gemara finds out. If the Gemara knew before, the kasha wouldn't have been a kasha. The Gemara thought that it was really not a good korban, but they said that it's as if it's a good korban, which needs explanation. Rashi just says that the owner, not the owner, the ganav who's chayv korban doesn't have to bring another korban achatas because sheval said the chachamim could be okay the Torah. But the kasha, original kasha was that the kohanim are not going to eat it because it's a chulin bazor, and that Rashi doesn't answer. So it needs explanation. I don't know how Rashi learns the Gemara till now, but Rashi learns that till now the Gemara didn't know the ways the mechanics is to hefker bez and hefker. Just now the Gemara figured it out, and since hefker bez and hefker, that's why it's a good korban. The kohanim can eat it. Really belongs to the one who was stolen from. But the Rabbanan confiscated it from him because of the toilets of the korban. Rabbanan that kohanim shouldn't be scared to eat a korban chatas. And in this case, when someone stole an animal and was makdashit, even though it was only yiyush, they made that it should belong to him, and it's a good korban. And therefore, somebody's gonna, if someone's gonna shecht it outside the base of mikdash, shchut eichotz, and it's chayv kares. Amar Rava, yeah. Right, that's what the Gemara is saying then. But it's a little strange because the Gemara says they made it hefker bez and hefker in order that it should be chayiv. It's not the reason why they made hefker bez and hefker. They made hefker bez and hefker in order that the kohanim should be able to eat it. And if not for hefker bez and hefker, then how could the kohanim not eat it? Rashi and Amalal doesn't address it. He just says that they said Shev Baltas said they're not to bring another korban. How are the kohanim able to eat chulin bazar? The kohanim is still going to be hesitant to eat the korban. So I don't understand how Rashi learns. And Rashi learns that just here the Gemara came up with hefker bez and hefker. And it's a little difficult why the Gemara says it seems there's another way how the Rabbanan could have made that it's a good korban even if it's not hefker bez and hefker, and just now the Gemara comes to this conclusion. The Gemara didn't know it yet. Amar Rava, how about the Kami Boyli? The following question I still do have. You just said that the Rabbanan said hefker bez and hefker, they made that it should be his the Ganav's korban. Mishas Geneva or Mishas Sekadesha? From when did they put it into the Rishus of the Ganav? From the time that he stole it or from the time that he consecrated it? I would have thought from the time that he brought it to the Beis Hamikdash, and he wants to be from the time they wants to shecht it. That's the only real time that you have to make it in his rishus. That the kohanim shouldn't be scared to eat it. But the Gemara doesn't have such a tzad. The two shots that them are from the time that he stole it, or from the time that he was makdash it. I think we're not going to say that every ganav is yish kedikoni because he might be makdash it. But in a case where he's makdash it, then they made it should be his retroactively from the time of the Geneva. I'm not sure. Or the Gemara means to say that since a ganav might be makdash it, I don't know why we're so down the kapschus that the ganav are going to be makdash. So maybe every ganav we say yish kedikoni. I'm not sure. I don't know the sukkis and Bava Metzia how to juggle this. That the ganav does hektish. So he does something. Doesn't give back. He gives. Why not give it back already? Okay, so the question was, when did the Chacham put into his rishus for Devka Bes Nefka? From the time that he stole it, or from the time that he was makdash? All of the wool or the offspring that the animal has from the time of the Geneva until the time of the Hektish, does it belong to him or not? If you say that it's his, so then all of that belongs to him. What's it then? From when time did they put it into his rishus? They all put his rishus in order that if it's a korban, then it should be considered the bailim, the ganav is a good, so his korban, and it's going to be shchutei chutz also if somebody sheds it outside. But how about the wool and the offspring that the animal had until then? Yeah. Rava said that it's reasonable to say that it only becomes his from the time of being makdashit. In order that the sinner should not gain. Why should he gain? He stole something when he give the wool, the shearings, and the offspring to the ganav. Why should we put it into Rishus? It's only doing it for a different reason. Really, he doesn't deserve it. It's not his. He stole it. And the Gemara doesn't explain why should we put it from the time of the Geneva. The Gemara says the reason why not to, but the Gemara doesn't explain why. Yes, why in the world should we have thought to give it to the guy from the Geneva? Maybe because if you want to give it to him later on, that it should be a good carbon, you have to make it originally also should be his. I'm not sure what the Gemara thought, but the Gemara comes out that it doesn't become his until the time of the Hektish. We're continuing now still, new Mishnah about Avrohom. So there was a time that Avrohom means that we're killing Jews. And there was no, the Gemara is going to explain soon that it means there were no din sekrikin. The Mishnah alone, the words mean there were no sekrikin. Sekrikin are kind of, I don't know a good translation. I don't know if the hospital has, that it means that the Goyim who were, it was the Jewish blood was free and they were able to kill. And people would give their fields, their property to the Goyim that they should not kill them. And that since it's under such a situation, so that's a reason why it might not be considered a sale. How does it go? They don't transliterate. It's actually Greek. Okay, so it's going to be some kind of. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm just looking for an English word. I need an English word. Right. So this Kilo is selling it to them, but they're forced to get. They're not selling it. They did sell it to them. It comes out that they did. No. They got it for free.
Gangsters.
What is the word? Gangsters. Okay. And they didn't pay anything for it. The Sekrikin took away the fields, and because the Jews were scared for their lives, so they gave it. So the question is going to be: is it considered the Sekrikins? If now the Sekrikin wants to sell it now to Jews, who wants to sell it? So when you buy it, could you buy it from him? Does it still belong to the original owner or not? So the literal words just say there were no Sekrikin, which sounds like there were no such people. There were no such during Avrohom Muhammad. The Gemara is going to say, of course there were. That was the problem. They were these gangsters during the war. But then it says, let's take the words literally. Meanwhile, then it says, after the war, after the time of killing the Jews, so then there was Sekrikin. So the words themselves don't make sense because, on the contrary, during the war, that was when you had these gangsters. So the Gemara is going to explain, you can do it right away, that it means the din Sekrikin. Is it din? So that you have to look in history to see what time this was. And I have written down in my Gemara, there's a Sefer Doros Rishonim that he explains at length from page 127 to 144. Maybe on Shabbos I'll have time to look over it and come back with more history on Sunday. And Rabbi explains the sugya also. He's a Talmud Chacham that explains the sugya. So maybe I'll be smarter on Sunday. So far, there was a time that that Jewish blood was hefker, and the Goyim were able to confiscate or whatever, or take property of the Jews. And then the question was if he was able to, if Jews could buy it from him. So the din Sekrikin would mean that So now the question is there a din that the original owner could come and say that it belongs to me? It was taken away from me. So it says during Avrohom Muhammad, during the time when it was very dangerous, so there was no such din. The din didn't apply, and the original owner cannot come and say that it's mine. And the reason is going to be because since he saved his life because of that, so he really meant to give it over. The payment was his life. So he got since it was very serious, very dangerous, that the Goyim could have killed the Jews. So when they gave their fields in order to save their lives, so he meant it with all his heart. So it was given over. And again, now he comes back and says to the Jew who bought it that you got it for stolen goods. So the answer is no, because at the time when the guy took it, you really meant to give it to him because he wanted to save your life. He would have saved. So and it belongs to the guy. It belongs to the guy. So the buyer, the one who buys from the Sekrikin, can't. The owner can't come to the buyer from the Sekrikin and say, "I want it back," because he really gave it during the Avrohom Muhammad when it was dangerous. He really gave it away. But Avrohom Muhammad after the Sakana passed, and there still were these gangsters that were going around taking away people, but it wasn't as dangerous. So then there's a din Sekrikin that if somebody bought it from the Sekrikin, the original owner could come and say that it belongs to me. Ketzad, what is this din Sekrikin? Now the Mishnah is going to explain a little bit more that there'd be a bigger chiddush now, that not only is the sale not a sale at the time when it was a din secret, it means when it wasn't so dangerous anymore, and the owner has in mind to get it back. The owner, even though the secret took it away from him, but he has in mind to eventually get it back from him because it wasn't anymore legal to kill Jews. After the decree of killing the Jews, so now the Jew who had to give up his field to the Sikrikin, but he has in mind to eventually get it back. So if somebody buys it from the Sikrikin, it's not a good sale, it goes back to the original owner. And here the Mishnah has a chiddush. Not only is the sale from the Sikrikin not a valid sale, even if then he went to the original owner and said, I want to buy it from you also. So he's not mamash for his life, because that we're going to see it's not talking about Avrohom Muhammad Ve'elech, but it's still, this gangster is still tough. He has to wait till things calm down. So even if the Balabayis was masking to sell it also, eventually the owner could come and say that I never meant to sell it, I sold it because the Sikrikin sold it. If I'm going to make noise and say that he didn't have a right to sell it, and I'm not selling it, so then he's going to get in trouble with this gangster. So Mekro Batal. So again, this is talking about at a time when it's not mamish dangerous for his life, so therefore it's not considered a sale. And the Mishnah has on, it's not even considered a sale, even if the Balabais himself afterwards, subsequently sold it to him, after the Sikrikin sold it, because he can't argue with the Sikrikin. At this point, it's scared of the Sikrikin. But if he went Balabais because of a lock for Sikrikin, if he bought it the first from the Balabais, from the owner, and then he bought it from the Sikrikin who took it over, then it is a good Mekah, because when the Balabais sold it, he meant it, because it was still before the Sikrikin came to take it away from you. Another similar halacha about the same idea in a different scenario: a husband and a wife. A woman brings in property into the marriage, belongs to her. Or Rashi says different. I'm sorry. Rashi says that this is the property that the husband designated for the ksuba. He has to use a ksuba if he ever divorces her or he dies. So he designated a piece of land, or maybe even not designating, the land is always shibud to the wife. And somebody wanted to buy the property, and the husband agreed to sell it. And then he went to the woman, because he knew that the woman really belongs to her, or she is shibud to her. And he went to the wife and said that you must him to sell it. And she said, yes. But then later on she comes and says, no, I really didn't mean it. Maybe the husband died and she wants it back. It's not a good sale, because her wife says, I didn't want to start up with my husband. My husband sold it. What am I going to say? That I don't want to sell it. Rashi says he's going to say to his wife, you think I'm going to divorce you? You're holding on to the property you think I'm going to die? Like, what are you so scared about? So in order to have a good relationship with her husband, she said, yeah, you could sell it. But it's not a right that she really meant so. But if the buyer first went to the woman and she agreed on her own to sell it, so then she agreed on her own. Why did she have to agree? It's only after her husband wanted to sell it, then she's going to argue with him. That's going to cause her right. But if she on her own agreed to sell it first before the husband, so that's what she really meant it. Similar to the case about the Sikrikin, if you go to the Balabais first, then to the Sikrikin, it means you mean it. You went to the Sikrikin first and then to the Balabais, it's not a right that you mean it. So that could be in parentheses, these two lines about Lakshman Aish and this similar case from the Sikrikin. Back to the Sikrikin, back to the subject. This was the original halacha that they said that buying from the Sikrikin is not a good sale because the owner wants to get it back. He was forced into it. The Gemara is going to say when it was really a sakanas nefashos, then he really meant to give it away to save his life. But then when it wasn't mamish dangerous, so then he didn't mean it, and that's the din of Mishnah Rishona, that it's not a good sale. Bezdin Shalach Reim Amru, a later Bezdin said, Halakech Mesikrikin, no sin abalam revia. So they changed the din and said that you buy from the Sikrikin, it is a good sale. It is a good sale. The Mishnah doesn't say why, the Gemara doesn't say why. Why did they make such a thing that it is a good sale? Like it's even they're going now extreme. Not only is it a good sale, and if you buy from the owner, it's a good sale. Even if you don't go to the owner, you just bought from the Sikrikin, it's enough of a sale. But you do have to give a quarter of the price that you bought it to the original owner. No sale of Alam Revia. Why is that? Because the Gemara is going to say, what the Rashi says, that the Sikrikin he got it for free. He just was the gangster, he got it for free. So he sells it for 3/4 of the price. So we tell the buyer, even if you have a right to buy it, but it's not right that the Bailam should not get what's coming to them. So you paid 3/4 of the price, you got a good deal, so give the extra quarter to the original owner. So this is very extreme. Before we said that even if you bought it twice, you went to the Citrin and you bought it, and then you went to the owner and you bought it, the owner has a right to say deals off because I didn't mean to sell it. But at a later stage, Mishnah Achrona, they said that we are going to make the sale of the Citrin a good sale, and you don't even have to buy the whole thing back from the buyer. You just have to give them a quarter that you got cheaper, you got a cheap deal, so give them the extra quarter. And it doesn't say in the Gemara, but Chabusa found that is Yerushalmi, that the problem was that no one was buying from the Citrin, and the land was staying in the hands of the Citrin. This Gemara doesn't say, but it's Yerushalmi that the people that they knew that the halacha doesn't allow them to buy from the Citrin, so no one wanted to buy from them. If it was a sale, the Citrin got it like originally when it was mamish dangerous, so then people would buy from them. But now it was ended up staying in the hands of the Citrin, and the Jews didn't. All the lands were being taken up. So that, in Eretz Yisrael, so they made a takana that it should be considered a sale, and because anyway it's just stayed by the Citrin. It wasn't, nothing was happening. The Bailam said they're going to eventually get it back, but nothing was happening. Right. They got all the lands, and no one wanted to buy it, so it stayed by the hands of the Citrin. So they made a takana that it is a good sale. What made originally? No, they made the takana that no, they said according to the logic. When it's dangerous for the life, people really mean to give it. When it's not so dangerous, but it's still they're big gangsters, then it's not a good sale. Because that's what it really should be. But then they saw that there's a problem that no one's buying from the Citrin and it's staying at the hands of the Citrin, and it's all becoming shamem. So they said that it is a good sale, but give to the original owner a quarter that anyway you got a deal that you don't deserve to get so cheap. If the original owner wants to buy back from the Citrin, so he has preference. The Citrin has lands for sale. Which one? When is this halacha that the buyer could keep it and just give a quarter of the price to the original owner? When the original owner doesn't have enough money or the means to buy it himself. If the original owner has enough money, he wants to buy it back from the Citrin, they have preference. They go first. Citrin puts up a field for sale, and the original owner comes back, he wants to buy it. Means it was taken away from him by this gangster. But he wants to buy it. It's to die for him to buy it back. So he goes before anybody else. But if he doesn't have any money to pay, so then somebody else could buy it and just give a quarter of the price to the original owner. Rabbi Yoshe Bezdin b'nimnu shemushasat b'fnei Citrin shnei masa chodesh v'lakodem nikach zocha avanosin b'baylam revia. Rabbi made a Bezdin, and they voted nimnu that if it's already 12 months, it's already a full year that the Citrin can have it, and the original owner didn't buy it yet. So even though he says he wants to buy it, then it's already free for anybody to buy it. They just have to pay the original owner a quarter, and they don't have to wait on for the owner. He said that was the halacha, that if the owner wants to buy it, he has preference. But he says once it's 12 months and he still didn't buy it, then he says, I want to buy it, but you're not coming up with the money. So therefore, everybody could buy it already and just pay the quarter to the original owner. So that's the Mishnah. And this is Tikkun Olam probably. This was Tikkun Olam that Eretz Yisrael shouldn't be left by the Goyim. The Gemara says the original words don't make sense. We said it right away. The Mishnah says that during the war there was no Citrin. Of course there was Citrin. That's when they showed up. They took the fields against people's will because it was wartime. So the words don't make sense. If at the time of the war there were no gangsters, so after the war there were gangsters, that doesn't make sense. The Mishnah doesn't mean that there was no Citrin. It means that they didn't activate the halacha of the Citrin. It means the halacha of the Citrin means that the sale is not a good sale. So during the war, there was no activation of the din Citrin because since they really were in the danger of their life, that there was the Jewish blood was it wasn't worth anything. So the owners of the fields really gave it with a full heart to Citrin. Take the field and leave me alone. So then they didn't activate the din of Citrin to say that the sale is not a good sale. And Nara Gemara says the history, the Amar, let's make it a little bit smaller here. The Amar Rav Asi says the history is going to be what it says now. The history is going to be the Historia. The Amar Rav Asi, Gimel Gzeres Gozru. There were 3 decrees of the Goyim. stages of this war. The first decree was, whoever doesn't kill a Jew is capital punishment. Everyone must kill Jews. So then they really were happy to give their fields in order to save their life because their blood was free. So however, they said the decree was to the goyim, whoever doesn't kill a Jew is chayiv misa. Mitziyasa, the middle gzera was called the kotel laisi abazuzi. The middle gzera was whoever does kill a Jew, so brings 4 zuz. So there's 2 ways to learn this. Pshat either means that there was a small penalty, that they only have to pay 4 zuz, means it was also to kill a Jew, but they have to pay a couple of dollars. It wasn't a little penalty. So it's still, the Jewish blood was hefker. Others learn the other way, that anybody that kills a Jew will get 4 zuz. Means they're not going to kill somebody that doesn't kill the Jew, but if someone kills a Jew, he got a reward. Either way, this is a stage that also the Jewish blood is hefker. Basraisa, the last gzera was called the kotel liktalu. You kill a Jew, so you chayiv misa. It means that then already after the war, and the Jews had the same rights to live, and nobody was allowed to kill them. But the gangsters were still gangsters. They're going around making sales for Jews, but they knew that we can go to court eventually and get our field back. Therefore, since this was the history, so the first and second gzera, since they were able to kill Jews, because of the onus, because he was put in such a situation, the field owners, so they had full heart to give it away, take the field and leave me and say, give me my life. So therefore, you are allowed to buy from the Citrin because they really got it. But Basrai said the last gzera that is ready was also to kill a Jew, even though they were still gangsters. The people would say, let him take it now because he's a gangster. Tomorrow, eventually, I'm going to go to court to get back my field. So therefore, that's the din Citrin, that the person who buys from the Citrin does have to give it back to the original owner. And then the Mishnah continues and says that they made a Mishnah Achrona, and that the Gemara stops at this point, and it's going to be continuation in 1, 2, 2.5 daf. That is 2.5 daf of Akara now, and we're going to get back to the Citrin again. This is the famous Gemara of Kamsa bar Kamsa, and this is what people, the whole 2.5 daf now is things that people learn on Tisha B'Av, and has to do with the Korban. It comes in. How does it come in? Because of this whole war, this war was about the war of Titus. That's why of the Korban. That's why it brings in these stories. This is mutter to learn on Tisha B'Av. So on the 4th white line, concerning what it says in the pasuk, the portion is the person who's always worried, and a person who's stubborn is going to fall in the evil. So the pshat of the pasuk is that a person should always be worried about the repercussions, and he should take precautions. Fortunate is a person that takes precaution, but a person who's stubborn and says, no, nothing's going to happen, he's going to fall into a mess. He's going to get in trouble because he didn't take the precautions. He didn't realize the repercussions of what he does. And he has three stories about that people didn't take precautions. One is Kamsa bar Kamsa Chorv Yerushalayim, because of the story of Kamsa bar Kamsa, which Gemara is going to explain each one. Yerushalayim was destroyed because they didn't think of the repercussions. Atana Gola Chorv B'Tor Malka, because of the story about a rooster and a hen. So Har HaMelech was destroyed. Tor Malka. Tor is a mountain. Malka is king. Har HaMelech. There's a place in Israel called Har HaMelech, and that was destroyed because of the story of a chicken, of a rooster and a hen, that people didn't take the right precaution. And Asaka the Rispach or Beta. Beta was destroyed because of Asaka the Rispach. Rashi says it's the side of a wagon, the board of a wagon. And also the Gemara is explaining what each story is. And the first story is going to be Atlanta about Chulin Yerushalayim. That happened because of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. So everyone knows the story, but I have a little bit addition to say from the Doros Rishonim. Doros Rishonim, his name is Isaac Halevi Rabinowitz. He wrote volumes about history that Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky calls them like the paragon of Jewish history, and he fought with all the Maskilim, and he explains a lot of Gemaras, and this is one of the ones that he explains. So we'll just read the story, and then I'll just add on what he says. Kamsa bar Kamsa Chav Yerushalayim, because of the story of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, Yerushalayim was destroyed. Who Gavra the Rachmi Kamsa? There was a person. It doesn't say his name. There was a person. He had a friend. His name was Kamsa. And Baldababe Bar Kamsa. He had an enemy whose name was Bar Kamsa. A friend Kamsa and an enemy Bar Kamsa. The name of the man himself it doesn't say. Who Gavra? Abba Sudasa. This man, the unnamed man, made a party. Amalei l'sham ezil la'isi di kamsa. He told his servant, go bring kamsa. Kamsa is invited to the party. Azil la'isi le bar kamsa. He made a mistake and he bought bar kamsa instead. The servant made a mistake. Yosef, and then the Balabais came in. He saw that Bar Kamsa is there, sitting by his banquet. Amalei, Mechti, who gava Baldvavada, who gava. My boy Socha. Okay, what's happening? You are an enemy of mine. What are you doing here? Kumpuk, get up and leave. What are you doing around my party? Amalei, hold shafkan. Since I came, so leave me already. I'll pay you for whatever I eat and drink. Let me stay by the meal, and I'll pay for my meal. I'll give you the money. Right. Amalei lo. Yeah, right. Wine, whatever. So he said no, he didn't agree. Amalei I'll pay for half of the banquet. Amalei lo. Also he said no. Amalei to make I'll pay for the whole meal. Amalei lo. He took him by his hand, with his hands, and he stood him up, and he's outed him. Took him out. Omar. So this Bar Kamsa said, since the rabbis were there and they didn't protest, it sounds like they also agreed. They're happy with it. I'm going to go and slander them to the king. So Achel B'Kortza is a strange lashon. We don't know what it means exactly. It's a lashon in the Tanakh. It talks about by Daniel when the Goyish ministers slandered him in order that he should be thrown into the den of lions. It says his lashon over there, Achel B'Kortza. So it's a question what the words mean, but we take it Kortza. Rashi has a pshat, and the Ramban and Chumash very much argues on the pshat. But the idea is that he slandered. Beimalka, yes. Beimalka means by the kings, by the palace, by the king. I'll go and slander them to the king. Azal, he went. Amalei L'Kesar, he said to the emperor, Mordebach Yudai, the Jews rebelled against you. Amalei Miyema, the emperor said, who said? Like, how do you know that? Amalei, so Bar Kamsa said, Shadalu Karbana, Hazisi Makarban, send them a korban. The king wants to be makar a korban in the base of Mikdash and see if they're going to offer it on the Mizbeach. Azal Shadar B'Yodei Igla Tilsa. So he went. The king sent with him a, whatever the word means. Igla is a calf as a korban. Tilsa, that's a chash of a calf. Some say that it's the third born, or whatever the pshat is, the third, whatever. Igla Tilsa is always ayil mishulash. It's something choice about it. Tilsa says something about a third. So the question what that means, but it means that was a choice animal for a korban. While he was bringing it from the Caesar, from the emperor to Yerushalayim, so Bar Kamsa put a mum. What kind of mum? Either in the lip or in the eyebrow. I'm sorry. Is that the translation? What's the membrane of the eye? Yeah, there's no rush on that.
If I remember correctly, it was that it was a mum that meaning towards the goyim it wouldn't be a big deal, but by us we wouldn't put it on. Is that the
right? Those are the next words. That's next words of the Gemara. But just the translation of the dukin, what kind of mum is that? So we have a problem with the dukin. What the dok is? Cataract. Okay, so then the membrane. Okay, that's interesting. I'm sorry. So far we just said that he made a mum either in the lip. You're right, the comma. No, comma. Have a mum. It was a place which, for us, for the Jews, is considered a mum. For the goyim, for them, it's not considered a mum, and therefore the Jews couldn't say that it's a mum. They said there's not. The goyim don't consider it a mum. So that was the problem. Lav mumahu. So that was the problem. So this was his plan. This was a scheme of Bar Kamsa to bring a korban from the Caesar, from the emperor, and the Jews are not going to bring it, and he's going to prove from that to the emperor that the Jews are rebelling. They don't want to bring a korban for the king. That's the note from the Doros Rishonim, that this Bar Kamsa was a very, very evil man. that he was willing to slander all the Jews so he says that he was a Tzeduki from the Tzeduki or from the people of Agrippa. They were Rishon, Mama's Rishon, and that explains also why the Chachamim didn't protest that he was thrown out. And he was coming. It was dangerous for the Chachamim when these people came. I remember the word is Tzedukim, or they were from the Rishon. He wasn't a good Jew that happened to be an enemy of this person. He was evil enemy of all the Jews, and he was willing, and that's why the Rabbanan didn't mind that he was taken out, because he didn't belong in their crowd, and they were the dangerous people. They were Malshinim also. It was not easy to have them around. And also the Gemara at the end is going to say that we'll see soon more Gemara that also leads to this, that the Bar Kamsa was from the evil people. He wasn't a holy person. That's his input. People take the Gemara that how bad the Jews were, that they threw him out, and all the Rabbanan didn't say anything. He says the Rabbanan didn't say anything because he was a dangerous person. We'll see more, but so far you see he was very evil. Not following. Who would have said what? He deserved to be thrown out. He didn't belong in their company. He didn't belong over there. They didn't realize what is going to happen. That's what. It was dangerous, you could say, because they were always eavesdropping, and they were not on the side of the Jews. They were on the side of the Romans. They weren't. Okay, here he was taking somebody out of the meal. Dangerous. The word dangerous. I said that the company. I meant to say that the company with a person who's of the enemy camp is not good, especially since it was a. Just they point out also what is that? The Gemara is, just to point out that the Gemara says in the beginning, where the Gemara opened up, is that they should have seen the repercussions of what's going to happen. This was a mistake. They should have seen that if you throw him out, he might go to the king, or we're going to see another king, another story, another episode, another stage of the episode. But the time it wasn't dafka because they did such a bad thing of throwing him out. The problem was that they didn't take the repercussions into consideration. They should have thought that maybe he's going to go to the king, and they should realize that things have repercussions. And that was the time that the Gemara says, they should have thought of the possibilities, what's going to happen. So the Rosh Hashanah continues with this idea that he was really an evil man.
Rabbi, is it possible that they're asking that they should have understood the repercussions after he came with the cow? There by the party, it's hard to understand. But
it could be also, but I think this is also part of it. It could be that you can learn that part, but I think that the beginning also. What? I thought Shaul was saying this part about the continuation of the Gemara. We can ask Shaul what he means. That the point is that they should have brought the korban and these kind of things. What the Gemara is going to say now, maybe they should have thought of the repercussions. Is that what you meant, Shaul?
Yeah, or killed him, or understood that,
Gemara is going to say now. So that's another thing. Maybe the Gemara to think of the repercussions. What the Gemara is going to say now, the possibility was to bring the korban, even though it was a balmum, or to kill him, that he shouldn't go back and slander. Those are other possibilities. Okay, so the Gemara continues. So they had a problem now. What are you going to do? Not bring the korban? Then it's going to be dangerous. They knew that it's dangerous. The emperor sent the korban. They're not going to bring it. So they thought they should offer the korban, even though it's a balmum, because it was dangerous. That the king's going to be angry at them, which has a lot of repercussions. Amalahu, Rabbi Chaim ben subjected, and he said, there's a gzeira. You have to be worried that there's going to become a takala. People are going to think from this story that you're allowed to bring a balmum for the mizbeach. And because of that, he also knew that there's an issue over here. That's what they were talking about. There's a danger that they're not going to bring the korban. I don't know what he thought. Several amygdalae, so they at least wanted to kill him. Kill Bar Kamsa, that he shouldn't go back and slander the Lord. He shouldn't go back and say what happened. Rabbi Chaim also was worried. People are going to think that someone who puts a mum into korban is chayv misa. Why they kill him for? And because of this long-term chashash, So Rabbi Shai ben Abkula thought that it's not, you can't, even though there's a danger, he knew there's a danger over here. So I'm not sure what he thought. He thought that this danger overrides, that this chash overrides all this danger. The Gemara, and therefore they didn't bring the korban and they didn't kill him, and he went back to slander. The Gemara puts into interjection of it. That he shouldn't go and say, well, we shouldn't go and tell. He said, interjection. I'm Rabbi Yochanan and Sanusa Shalom Schreiben of Kula Sachribas Besenu Besarfa Sechalenu Belisanu Meatsenu. Rabbi Yochanan said that means years later, Rabbi Yochanan said that the humility of Rabbi Schreiben of Kulas destroyed our Beis Hamikdash and burnt our sanctuary, Echo, and exiled us from our land. That he blamed it on the anava of Rabbi of Kulas. So in general, it means the tzidkus of Rabbi of Kulas. If it means humility, why is it called humility? So Chabusa suggested maybe that's how he calls it tzidkus sometimes. It's another word for tzidkus in general. Some say pshat. I don't know if it's a good pshat. So I'm not going to say it. I don't know why it's called humility. And it was considered a mistake. But Rabbi of Kulas was held as a mistake, and because of that, it not that this is an avera that caused the whole korban. I think you have to make a point. It doesn't mean that this avera caused the korban. It means that it was part of the gilgulim that happened that caused the korban. So you see that's a bad thing. Like since it happened through this, you see that it's a bad thing. But not that this is the cause of the Beis Hamikdash's destruction. Like you see other places, like because of two, it says by Yaakov and Yosef that he showed him favoritism. So it says because of two Mishkal's Beis Shalom Melas, so we went down to Mitzrayim. We would have went to Mitzrayim anyway. The fact that it went through this kinna of showing favoritism to one son, so you see that it's not a good thing. So here also the Chorban means the same thing. Not that this is the reason of the Chorban, but the fact that the Chorban came through this, you see that it's a bad thing. So the story continues. These words are hard. The next words are a little bit hard. Shada ilavayu lanirun kesa. So the problem is that Neron is the one who's going to be going to war. He's the general over here. And the question is that the words say he sent Neron Kesa. Who sent? Who sent Neron Kesa? No one sends the emperor to go to war. If the emperor wants to go to war, he goes to war. Doesn't want to. So the words are a little difficult. Who sent the emperor to war? And he is the Kesa. It says Neron Kesa, so it says he's the Kesa. The Kesa doesn't send the Kesa, only one Kesa. I don't know, that's a question. You have to prove that. That usually that means the Caesar is called the Caesar. And the Caesar is the one who's sending somebody. And Neron is the one who went. Right? Upon them. He sent upon them to Neron Caesar. The word two is also difficult. It could be that Neron Caesar sent the general, different pshatim. Ashkol Bizan, a few pshatim. They all are a little shaky. I don't know. Take out the word Caesar, different Neron. But there was a Neron Caesar. There was somebody who was an emperor who was Neron. Nero, they call him. And the Gemara is going to soon say that he decided not to destroy Yerushalayim. And it came and he went to become a ger. There's a few lines more. So these words they're not read it exactly. Neron Caesar didn't stay home. He went to war. That's what it sounds like over here. When he came. So unless the word, you have to change some of the words. And Neron Caesar himself went to war. But the word, some say Chadare Lavayu, that right, to war, to destroy Yerushalayim. So who sent who? The words it says that he sent Neron, the emperor. Who sends the emperor any place? So one shot might be that Bar Kamsa sent back the message, and eventually so Neron went to the war. But the words are a bit difficult. But the idea is that the emperor, whoever he is, decided to destroy Yerushalayim because of this. This is considered a rebellion. And Neron is the one who went to war. Kika Asi, Shada Giyul Mizrach, Asanafal Bi Yerushalayim, Lamarav, Asanafal Bi Yerushalayim, Labruchas Hashemayim, Asanafal Bi Yerushalayim. So he tried to do a simon to see if he's going to be victorious over Yerushalayim. So he shot an arrow first to the east, and it ended up in Yerushalayim. To the west, opposite direction, also went to Yerushalayim. All the four directions, each time he shot an arrow, it went to Yerushalayim. So it sounds like a simon from heaven that he's going to be victorious over Yerushalayim. But he wasn't satisfied yet. He told to a child, tell me your pasuk. That was considered also a simon ask his child what he learned that day, and he would take that as an omen of what the future is going to be. Amalei, so he told him the following pasuk. Where is this pasuk? Yecheskel. So this child was learning Yecheskel. He said, I'm going to give a revenge against Edom through my nation Israel, means that Edom is eventually going to be taken revenge of. Edom, he's from Edom. Esav is considered Edom, the emperor that Hazal connect Edom, Rome. So that's this pasuk says that Am Yisrael is going to take revenge against Edom. So it means even though I might be successful in this war, but eventually Hashem is going to take Nekama. Amar, so he said, Nivon said, Hashem wants to destroy his house and he wants to wipe his hands on me. That means that I'm going to be the scapegoat to do the dirty work and then I'm going to get punished. So he didn't want to do that. Arak, he ran away. Azal Vigaya, he went and became a ger. But Nafak B'nei Rav Meir. Rav Meir eventually is a descendant of Niron Kesar. Macharusa, he's his history, he's a tour guide. He said that Nero, yes, but Nero it disappeared in the history. Nero, the emperor, they don't know what happened to him. So that fits with our Gemara, that he left. So I'm not familiar with that. That's what the Gemara says, right? But I'm saying historically also, the way it goes down history, that he disappeared from the throne. Now here says Kesar, but we take out the word Kesar because it wasn't yet a Kesar. But he sent, or whoever was in charge, sent Vespasianus, who is known as Vespasian in English. He sent upon them Vespasianus. Now he wasn't a Kesar yet. We'll see when he wasn't a Kesar. But eventually he became a Kesar. Eventually he became a Caesar. But at this point he was a general. So he sent a general to come. He came and he sieged Eretz Yisrael and Yerushalayim for 3 years. And because now it's going to say a long story about the siege. There were 3 rich people who lived in Yerushalayim. And the 3 people are Nakdim ben Gurion, 3 rich. Atire is like Ashir. Ashin in Hebrew gets changed to a tuf in Aramaic. Nakdim ben Gurion, ben Kalba Shavua, ben Tzitzis HaKesses. Those are the 3 people. Then we have a little parentheses to tell us a little bit of background about each one. Nakdim ben Gurion, why is he called that? Why is he called Nakdim ben Gurion? Shenakta lochama ba'avuro. So the word Nakta, actually Nakdim Nakta. Ben Gurion, his father's name was Gurion, but his name was Nakdimon as a remez that the sun shone because of him. So that's a story that talks about that he used to he would worry about Am Yisrael having water for all the regular. When they came to all the regular, they should have water. And there was a time there was not enough water, and he made a deal with the guy that he should let his wells be used by the Jews, and he'll pay back. If it doesn't rain by a certain date, he's going to pay back huge amount. And came the last day that the rain didn't rain, and he wanted to get his money back. And at the end, Hashem made that the sun should come out again, even after it fell dark already. So because of that schus, he's called Makdima. Then Kalba Savua, why is he called that name? Should call the Nichlas Abeso Kishu Kurai Kikelev, Yotze Kishu Sebe. Anybody come to his house when he's hungry like a dog would go out satisfied. He used to support anybody who came into his house. Then Tzitzis HaKesses, why is he called that? Choices Tzitziso and Nigreres al Gabi Ksosos, that his tzitzis would be dragging on Ksosos. Melas is a fine wool. It's a mistake. Whatever says melas is so, it's always a mistake. Because the Gemara says that it's the sheep and the chavnul melas, that you cover up the sheep with a blanket that you should have melas from it. So it's always fine wool. But anyway, it was a chashva garments that he would walk on chashva carpets. And what's the purpose over there? He had a Gemara either because he was so aristocratic, or there's a Gemara that says that he would let the poor take the carpets after he finished walking on it, and then they would be able to get parnasa from the carpets. The other reason why he's called Ben Keses is because his chair, his seat, whatever, he had a seat amongst the Gedolei Romi. That means he was chashuv in the government, that he had a seat in the parliament, whatever it would be of the Roman Senate. So that's not tzitzis, that's about the Keses. that his sister was his name probably, but the Kesses is because of his chair. Either because Ksasos, some kind of cushions, or because the Kesses is a chair. So we had the three people that they were rich people in Yerushalayim, like David and Ruyan, and Kabbalah Savua, and Tzitzis HaKesses. And they were willing to support, during the siege, they were willing to support the nation. One person offered to support the whole Yerushalayim with wheat and barley, and one with wine and oil and wine and salt and oil. Nacham was wine, milcha is salt, and mishcha is oil. And one said, I'm going to support with wood. You need wood in order to bake. The chiti sorry is not enough, you have to be able to bake. So he was going to support the nation, the city, with wood. The Shibchu Rabbanan of the Sivi, and the Rabbanan praised the one who offered to support with wood more than the one of wheat and about wine. Rav Chisda would give over all of his keys, keys to his servants, except for the warehouses of wood. Because Rav Chisda himself used to say that for one measure of wheat, you need 60 measures of wood. It means that it's more expensive. The process of cooking it, the wood you need in order to bake, is more than the wheat itself. So he was the biggest donor. He offered the most money than of the three. It doesn't say who offered what, but all three of them, they had enough together to support everybody with wheat and barley and wine and oil and salt, and also to bake it. They had enough to support for 21 years. It was 3 years, but they had enough to support. 3 years already had passed, but they had 21 years more of support. They were the Biryoni. How do you translate Biryoni? Also gangsters. That's what the word Biryoni means something else. Biryoni. Boar means boar, B-O-O-R. Unless you're making more focusing. Again, wild people. Okay.
Maybe we call them the leftists today.
They wanted to fight against the Jews. They wanted to fight against the guy. So the Rabbanan, the Chachamim, wanted to go out and make peace. Lo Shavkinu, and these Bayoni didn't let them. And they wanted to make war. Let's make war with them. We're not gonna. We can't. It's not gonna win. We don't have enough power to be able to win the war. Not that they were inherently against war, but it's not gonna work. They said it's not gonna work. So they wanted to force their issue. So they got up and they burnt the warehouses of wheat and barley. Killing is to burn. And then it became a famine. So they were forcing that they should be able to go out, they should force. Now, Achavus asked, I never thought of this question. I learned it more many times. Never thought. They had enough to hold out to 21 years. So why did they want to make shalom? Why did they want to make war? Say, you have 21 years to hold out. Simple question. The Gemara first says they have 21 years to hold out to siege. 21 years is a long time. They're not going to stay so long. So why was there importance to go out to make shalom? Why was there importance to make a war? Both sides. What's the problem? Stay and wait it out. So I never put two and two together. Like it's an obvious question that has to be asked. They also would have made war, just they wouldn't have been successful. They weren't dafka peace loving. So then you can just leave out the thing about shalom. Just say that they had 21 years and their boyon wanted to make war and they didn't agree, but they didn't have to say anything about shalom. Why make shalom? Just wait back. I'm not sure if the Jews outside were you say other Jews were not in danger, only Yerushalayim was in danger. Okay, I don't know. But it is interesting that you mentioned that they had enough 21 years. It's not fun, but the question is, will they make shalom? What's going to be? Okay, I don't know what to say. Okay, I never noticed the question. It's like, Mamish, one line there. Like, why does it say they want to make shalom? It's right there. Yeah. I'm not saying that it was easy, but okay. Here it says that 21 years supply. Okay, they're not a Gemara. Not the Talmud doesn't talk about the doesn't talk about the covenant. Here it doesn't. Here, this Gemara doesn't talk about it. Here the Gemara doesn't talk about it. This is by Shem. It's also by Shem. Both of them by Shem. The names, the Roman names, these are not by Grecian names. Marsa, the by Grecian is Babel, nothing to do with Marsa Bas Marsa stories about famine. The word kafta means a famine. There's a famine, and Adamar talks about the stuff about the famine. Marsa Bas Baisis, I see it to the Yerushalayim mothers. Marsa Bas Baisis. Marsa is like Martha. She was the richest of Yerushalayim. She sent her shliach to get some food. So I don't know the names of all these different levels of, but first grade A, bring me grade A, which was the normal thing he used to eat. A dozen is nothing. By the time he went to the market, it was sold out. He said there's no grade A, there's only grade B. So get grade B. A dozen is nothing. By the time he went, there was no more grade B either. We don't have grade B, we have grade C. Amalei gets grade C. Doesn't list up, and like I don't know why he didn't get the hint already. Like he's supposed to figure it out himself. But each time he came back and said it's not available. There's no more wheat left. There's only kemach saurim. Amalei zel aisili. So get that. Doesn't list up, and that also wasn't left. So she went out. She went out herself. Yeah, but again, that's what she's not going to do. She's not going to eat. Yeah, so what? I'm not going to eat. Like, that's not a choice. I don't know. I don't get it. Okay. Have a shlifa masana. She had her shoes off. It doesn't say one shoe, two shoes. She wasn't wearing her shoes. I'm going to go out and see if I find something to eat. So she was very desperate. I don't know why she didn't put her shoes on, but she went out. And she stepped on some toa, some excrement, and she died from disgust. Kara is her foot, parta is the excrement. Perish. So Rabbi Yochanan Zakai said about her, the pasuk, that the one who's a delicate person, is got that her foot is not used to putting it on the floor. That talks about her, that she wasn't used to putting her foot on the dirty floor. Of course, it was very dirty, but she couldn't take the disgust. Say that others say different story, different version, that she found the fig of Absadak, that the Muslim was saying a second that he used to eat that when he was fasting, and it became, but this was the leftover. He would suck it out, and the rest of it he would throw away. And she found it, and she also got disgusted from that, and she died from disgust. What was the story of Absadak? Absadak Yosef Abon Shnin B'Tanisa. The Lalechim Yerushalayim. Absadak sat 40 years at Tanis every day for 40 years. He's fasted that Yerushalayim shouldn't be chorek.
Again, it's very interesting that Rashi would point out. He always speaks of destruction in Yerushalayim, but he's speaking of destruction.
Talmud talks about it. That's what it talks about. He was so thin that when he would eat something, you'd see it going down because he was so thinned out from fasting. When he would heal himself, so they would bring him a fig and he would suck out the juice and he would throw out the rest. And that's what she found. And she ate that psal was left over, and she got nauseated from it and she died. It isn't for the water, but it's for the nutrients that were in the fig. The Gemara number base is going to say that when they healed him, they did something else. So Rashi says this is when he healed after he finished all the 40 tanesim, but seems to contradict what it says in number base. Without Rashi, I would have thought that this is what he ate every day at the end of the fast. Every day he needed some nutrition. But Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi says at the end of the 40 years, which might contradict what it says in number base. So this back to the story of Marsalas Baisus. She was dying. When she was dying, when her soul was dying. She took out all of her gold and silver, and she threw it into the market. And she said it's worthless. What do I need this for? What do I need this for? That's what the pasuk is referring to. They're going to throw their money into the market. That's what happened over here, but the money wasn't worth anything. You have time? Yeah. I just, that makes, my chavus is supposed to come in, so if he comes in, please let me know. Abba Sikra, Reish Bayonim de Yerushalayim, Baruch Seh Rebechem Mazakei Haba. Abba Sikra was the head of the Bayonim of Yerushalayim, and he was the nephew of Rebechem Mazakei. Baruch Seh, the son of his sister. He was a nephew of Rebechem Mazakei. Shalach Lei, so Rebechem Mazakei sent a message to him. He was. Baruch Seh Rebechem Mazakei Haba. He was. The Bayonim wanted the war, and he was the head of them. Shalach Lei, Tabit Sin like a boy. So Rebechem Mazakei sent, come secretly to me. Asa, he came. Amalei, Rebechem Mazakei said to his nephew, Adem Asab Disu Hachiva Katlisu Leilam Lobakafam. Until when are you going to continue doing this and killing everybody in the famine? Amalei, Ma Yavid, Yamin Lahu Midi Katli. What should I do? If I'm going to tell him something, then he'll kill me. Means his men were even against him also. He doesn't have no control over them anymore. Amalei, so Rebechem Mazakei said to his nephew, Hazili Tekanta Lidid, the Apok, show, make an answer for me, I should be able to get out personally. I should be able to get out of Yerushalayim. Maybe I could save something. I can't stop everything, but maybe I could save something. Amalei, so Abu Sikra, his nephew, said, I'll tell you the scheme. Make yourself to be as if you're sick, deathly sick. Get out a rumor that you're deathly sick. Should come and visit you. I see me the Saria, and then bring something which is bad smelling, and put it next to you. And they should make a rumor that you died. And then to carry you out, only your Talmidim should carry you. Nobody else should carry you. They shouldn't feel that you're light, because a light person is lighter than a dead person. The Inu Yadi, the Chaya Kolo, because the Bayonim know that light, everybody knows, they know that a light person is lighter than a dead person. So that was the plan to get him out of Yerushalayim. Abu Taki, they did like that, and then they were taking him out. Nichnas Bo of Elazar Bisadach, of Bishua Bisadach, so the two Talmidim of Elazar and Bishua, they were carrying Rebechem Mazakei out as if he's dead. Kimatu lePislu, when they came to the doorway of Yerushalayim to leave, Bo leMitkirei, they wanted to stab him. So Rashi says it means the Bayonim, and they wanted to see if he's alive or not. So I don't know, I don't get Pashtan the Gemara to see if somebody's alive. How long does it take? You just put your hand by his nose to see if he's breathing. You want to see you can see a pulse. It's hard to see if he's alive or not. I don't know. They want to stab. Yes, I don't know. I don't know why you can't. Okay, stop here. We continue tomorrow. 5:30. Right? No, they knew a person. It was the court. They took him, take him out to bury him. Wasn't that they didn't hide him? They just thought that he's dead. So you want to know if he's alive. So open up the sack. You want to see if he's alive. So it's so hard to see if he's alive. Okay.